Hey, what's up, all? It's your boy Chris, aka the Japaner Communist, and today, guys, I'm going to teach you guys how to harvest your own sea salt. So, today, guys, we are out at glorious Umekaze Park, right by the ocean, as you can see down here. And we're going to go ahead and start with the first step, which is actually going ahead and getting some seawater. Now, a couple tips before you go ahead and do this. First, you want to go ahead and make sure that the water that you're going to is relatively clean and stuff like that, which down here it's actually pretty relatively clean. You don't want it to be in an area there's a huge amount of boats and everything like that stuff too, just because you want to avoid getting as much like chemicals and bullshit into your salt as possible. But you know, it's basically just kind of eye it. If you see stuff floating in the sea or whatever, or you see like oil colored and stuff like that, obviously don't go ahead and get that. So first off, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab some of the water. All right, guys, I just got back from getting the seawater right here. So we got this huge amount of seawater right here and stuff, but you want to get as much as you want because honestly, seawater, especially we're talking with the ocean, has roughly about 3% salt, give or take. So you kind of need to get as much water as you can and stuff like that to get the maximum amount of salt, just because of how low the salinity is for most oceans. Now, if you happen to live in an area and stuff like that that happens to have a higher salinity rates, like let's say you live in Utah or whatever in the United States, near the Great Salt Lake, you're going to obviously find something considerably higher. But if you live near the ocean, it's about 3%, give or take. At any rate, let's go ahead and put this in the car and get on to the next part. Alright, guys, so we're finally back at my house. So right now, before we actually go ahead and cook the water off, it's important to go ahead and filter it and stuff. So as you can see right here, we use a pretty simple filtration system. You don't have to go this advanced, but I like to use a couple metal strainers, one for like flour. This is one that's you can get for like grease. And then these are just basically coffee filters. And what this does is if there's any sand or sediments or like, you know, pieces of stuff that you didn't want into there and stuff, this will filter all that stuff out. So try to get this without spilling. Probably gonna spill a little bit, but you get most of it into there. And we actually have so much that we're probably going to have to do this water in 2 batches. Should be good for now. And that's all the water we need. So next up, we're just going to go, I'm going to go ahead and get set up with putting this on either our outside rocket stove, which I can hopefully set up, or set it on this if that doesn't work. So, alright, so give me a minute. Alright, guys, so now that we got our rocket stove set up on the outside, now we're just going to go ahead, keep this on, and boil this for about 4 hours and stuff like that. I'm not going to go ahead and keep it on the entire time because that's going to take for fucking ever. Also, if you guys are curious how I actually started this whole rocket fire process up, I have some dried tinder that I had from grass cuttings that I was hanging on this little pole thing right here. Some char cloth, jute that you just kind of bird's nest up. And initially I tried using the magnifying glass with it to start the fire and stuff like that with the old sunlight through the magnifying glass trick, but that didn't work. So instead, I ended up using basically what's known as a ferro rod, which is basically a glorified flint and steel. But as you can see, it's working great. This is also way more energy efficient and cost efficient, because if you boil it on the stove for 4 hours, it's 4 hours of gas you're wasting. But with this stuff, it's like just whatever you can find around in nature. Anyway, we'll come back to this in a little bit later. Alright, guys, so we decided to go back to the stove and just go ahead and finish it off this way. Um, in fairness, though, like the other one, the rocket stove worked really good. Because this took like a couple of seconds to just boil once I hit this on and stuff. Normally, if it wasn't being heated, it would have taken forever. But we're going to keep this on for a while and wait for it to go boil down. Alright, now it might be hard to tell, but the water here, you can tell, is getting a little bit cloudier, actually, and stuff. And what that cloudiness is actually the salt. In fact, if you look at the side of the pot right here, you'll see this little white stuff that's forming on the side. Right there. That's actually salt. Now, we still got a ways to go and stuff before we get to the main pile, but you guys get the general idea and stuff. So anyway, let's come back after I get to the bottom. Alright, so I stopped it right now and stuff. Now, it's still got a little bit to go onto this, but you can definitely see now salt forming on the bottom. So, just gonna give it a couple of scrapes because some of it is stuck on that bottom right there. And you don't want to burn the salt, but a little bit longer and it should be good. And then after that, we're gonna go continue to dry it out in the oven. Alright guys, so the salt's pretty much done boiling off. So right now, we're just gonna go ahead and move this onto a pan that we just stuck some wax paper onto, and we're going to go put it into the oven for at about 140 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes, give or take. So take it, slap it onto here. Try to get as much water out as you possibly can. Technically, you can boil it a little bit longer, but I think it should be more or less fine. And when you do spread it out, you want to go ahead and try to get it. I like to do it like this. Get them a little bit of lines, but that's so it better aerates out. So I'll get this all set up. Alright guys, so this has a little bit more water onto it than I normally would have it, but it should be fine. Anywho, I'm going to go stick this into here for about 20 minutes. Let's see. Bank temp, put that down to 140. And we'll just let that go, and then 20 minutes later we should have nice hard salt. Alright guys, and here we are, finished product. So it did take a little bit longer because it was a little bit wet, so it's closer to about 40 minutes, and so I had to separate it a little bit, but it should look roughly like this and come apart pretty easy when you give it a scrape. Now, this is a surprisingly good amount of salt, but bear in mind, this is only, that's compared to all the water we had, this doesn't seem like a lot, but again, you get about 3%. This is roughly, like I said, from what we got from half that bin. We still have the other half that we have to go through. But this is still pretty impressive. Oh, that's hot. Straight out of the oven. And that, friends, is how you guys go ahead and make your own sea salt. Anyway, if you guys like my videos and want to see more context like this, like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.